This is the I Can Do Anything podcast. My name is Colin. Today I'm going to talk about NBA Christmas Day games as well as some games from earlier in the week because I can do anything and I've got the week off. Today's episode is brought to you by Beat Freak. When it comes to making beats, you don't need sophisticated beat-making software. You don't even need instruments. With powerful technology that has an array of instruments to choose from, you never have to use a tinny-sounding snare snippet or a dull guitar riff again. The latest in synthesizer and electronic production components comes at an affordable price with Beat Freak. Visit beatfreak.com/anything for your limited time offer at professional, amazing quality sounding instruments at your fingertips. Don't be a freak. Get Beat Freak. That's beatfreak.com/anything for a limited time offer. So, Sunday night, let's go through the games on Sunday. With my week off, I spent a good chunk of Monday sort of like half watching these games, more like listening and then watching replays as they came in. And anytime that the announcers' voices go up an octave, I rewind 30 seconds and watch that possession. But I did watch Lakers Nuggets in its entirety. The Nuggets won that one 128-104 and looked pretty damn good. The Lakers without LeBron, I don't know. There's really not a ton to draw from there without LeBron in the game. That game, although the reason he was out was it was kind of a little bit of load management. Although LeBron says that he's not doing load management this year, and if he can play, he'll play. I think that if it were a Game 7, he would have played that game that he sat out against the Nuggets. But I'm going to get to it later in the episode. He re-aggravated the injury, which made me really fucking sad this morning when I woke up and read all those reports about LeBron could miss some extensive time. Yeah, I'm going to get to that, though. We're going to get to some Christmas Day games later on in the episode. So the Nuggets win that one. There's really not tons to draw from without LeBron. Although I guess I just keep going to the Christmas game. Kuzma played really well last night. That was really encouraging for the Lakers. Again, more on that coming up. The Mavs and the Raptors on Sunday night. Raptors won 110-107. The Raptors were down from over 30 with like 15 minutes left in the game or so. And my biggest takeaway was that Porzingis he's just not an alpha. Porzingis is not a top tier NBA superstar. He is a second fiddle. He made a big shot, but it wasn't timely. It wasn't like a timely big shot to go up or anything like that. I mean, he made a couple tough shots and a couple tough plays down the stretch, but to give up that kind of lead, I know that without their Luka does like most of the ball handling, but if Porzingis was an alpha, first of all, he wouldn't be second fiddle to a second-year player. Now, Luka isn't your average second-year player. He's pretty phenomenal for a second-year guy. I don't know any statistics behind this, but Luka is probably having one of the better sophomore seasons in NBA history. Now he may miss. I don't know what his injury is. I don't know how much time he's projected to miss. So that could, it's obviously slowed him down. It's brought him to a halt. He's not playing. But giving up a lead like that for Porzingis is really just unacceptable in a lot of ways, and that sort of proved to me that Porzingis really just isn't. I mean, he wasn't even the leading scorer on his team in that game. Jalen Brunson had 21. Dwight Powell had 17. I mean, the Mavs played well. They played well for 3 quarters and then folded in the fourth quarter. Now they're playing against, last year's NBA champions without their best player. But the Raptors are playing pretty damn well this year as well. I think they're really exceeding a lot of people's expectations, mine included. But Porzingis had 19 on 33% shooting from the field, 33% from 3 as well. Did grab 12 rebounds. was plus 13 and plus minus. Tim Hardaway Jr. finished with 16. All 5 of their starters finished in double figures. Not as much bench production as normal. JJ Barea wasn't playing in this one, and JJ Barea, like Dobbs said in the last episode, has been really great for the Mavericks this year. So back to Sunday, I think I watched 3 games from Sunday. Oh yeah, and then the Thunder and the Clippers. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander played really well, had 32 points. Steven Adams had 20 points and 17 rebounds. Gilgeous-Alexander shot the ball pretty efficiently too, 48% from the field, 66% from 3, 2 of 3 from 3. Not known as a three-point shooter, but certainly if he can develop a three-point game, he's going to be really fucking effective, because he looked really good in this game. And really, in a lot of ways, I mean, he led in scoring. Dennis Schroeder had 28 off the bench, and Dennis Schroeder looked great. I mean, he played really great in this game. Chris Paul, not so great, had 12 points and 38.5% shooting from the field, 2 of 5, 40% from 3, 6 assists, 1 turnover is good. Steven Adams, like I mentioned, 20 points on, I mean, all his shots are from in the paint. So, I mean, I don't know, 66.7 really isn't that great of a percentage given the shots that Steven Adams takes. But in a win, just given the stuff, I mean, you're not expecting 20 points from Steven Adams. He's just he's like a superstar role player. Like he is the best kind of role player. He's like the best of the best when it comes to role players. So when you get 20 from Steven Adams in a win against the Clippers, who looked pretty great last night on Christmas against the Lakers. This was a really great win for OKC. OKC is playing so well. Oh, I forgot that Kawhi Leonard didn't play in this game. So again, I don't know. It's tough to draw a ton from those kind of games when LeBron isn't playing against the Nuggets and when Kawhi is not playing against the Thunder. So no games on. Well, there were some games Monday that I believed I watched. The 76ers and the Pistons, I caught a little bit of that one. Ben Simmons was pretty damn good. 16 points, 13 rebounds, and 17 assists for Simmons. He also played really well yesterday on Christmas against the Bucks. Another one that I watched a little bit of was actually watched the whole game. Heat and Jazz was a really great game. Bam Adebayo played really well again. Like I said last episode with Dobb, Bam Adebayo is by far most improved this year. He had 18 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. As the Heat won 107-104. This was Bogdanovich is great. Like, it's amazing, and the way him and Alex Caruso just don't look like they would be able to play basketball at a high level. Bogdanovich was great in this one. He didn't finish with a ton, but was really like a catalyst for their offense for a while. The Jazz were like very, very spurty in this game. Like Bogdanovich went on like a 4-minute run where he scored a bunch of points in a row. Emmanuel Mudiay came in off the bench and scored like 3 possessions in a row on just really like precise. It was right. I think it was the end of the third quarter. Or it was at the end of a quarter that the Heat went into a zone and Mudiay came in and they just screened the top man on the zone. And Mudiay just kind of like dissected it and pulled up from like 7 to 11 feet. And like all 3 of his shots in those 3 possessions were 7 to 11 foot range. Just rose up and made some. Those are a lot more difficult of shots than you would think as a casual basketball fan. The mid-range jump shot has been, the saying the lost art of the mid-range jump shot has existed for a long time, and those aren't exactly mid-range jump shots. I think they're even more difficult than a mid-range jump shot. It's like right in between a layup, and it's like almost a floater. You don't know if you should do a floater and just kind of flick it, or I don't know. So That's a shot that Will Dixon at Trine University was really great at. That like little 6 to 8 foot shot that you still got to actually shoot it. You can't like just push it or like flick it a little bit, which is kind of how like Derrick Rose does it. Derrick Rose will just stop and sort of push it from like, I've seen him shoot him like long, like a 14-foot floater, like a push shot from like 16 feet, like just beyond the elbow or like maybe just inside the free throw line, or like the free throw line extended, 15 feet from like the wing off the backboard. So, a lot of guys do it very differently, but Moutier played really great in spurts in that game. And the Jazz did the Jazz win? I don't even remember. No, the Heat won. The Jazz looked really great. And I sort of gave this one away, although the Heat with Jimmy Butler had 20, 46.7% from the field for Jimmy. I mentioned Bam Adebayo's stats. He was great all around. Myers Leonard, Bam Adebayo, in this game, I was listening to the Jazz broadcast, and they were talking about how Rudy Gobert was doing a great job on Bam Adebayo in like the early third quarter, because he only had like I think he only had like 8 points or something like that at some point in the third quarter, and they were talking about how Rudy was doing a really great job on him. He didn't shoot well from the field. 35.7 is not very great from the field for him at all. I mean, he takes a lot of like Steven Adams. He shoots some jump shots a little maybe a little more often than Steven Adams does, but most of his shots come from the painted area, and 5 of 14 is not very great. But he slowly got to the free throw line a bunch and had 15 by the end, like by early fourth quarter, but really filled up the stat sheet in pretty much every other category. They really didn't get a ton of production from the rest of their starters, though. 20 and 18 for Butler and Adebayo. Myers Leonard had 11. Duncan Robinson, I think it's fascinating that he's starting over like, I don't know if Justice Winslow is hurt. He must be, because I would think that he would start over Myers Leonard. He didn't play at all. I did see James Johnson on the bench, and he didn't play at all either. I don't know what's going on with James Johnson. But they got 15 from Dragic off the bench. Derek Jones Jr. had a really great dunk at one point in the game. He is really fun to watch. Tyler Hero had 17 off the bench. And the Heat got a big win. I mean, this is a team, the Jazz, that thus far this season really have underperformed, but the Heat have certainly exceeded everybody's expectations up to this point. The Heat are in third in the East, and the Jazz have actually moved up to sixth in the West. They're only 5.5 games back from first place, and they're only 3 games back from second place, a game and a half out of fifth place, the next slot. I mean, the West continues to be really close. So let's move to Christmas. What do you say? Christmas Day games. I only watched 2 of them, really. Well, it was a little under 2. I missed a little bit of the beginning of the Bucks and 76ers, and then turned it off with like 5 or 6 minutes left because it was pretty much over. 76ers looked really damn good yesterday, like really great. I mean, the Bucks, who have been playing really, really well, they shut them down in every way. I mean, they didn't shut down Antetokounmpo. Antetokounmpo, for the most part, still got his numbers. He didn't score like he has been scoring. He only had 18 points. Wow, maybe he didn't get his numbers. 18 points on 29.6% shooting from the field, 14 rebounds and 7 assists. 14 rebounds is above his average, and 7 assists I think is probably above his season average this year, but he was negative 18 in plus minus. Shot a pretty poor percentage from the field, 29.6. 0 of 7 from 3, pretty egregious, even for Antetokounmpo's standards. Chris Middleton, though, had 31. on 57% shooting from the field, 5 of 9 from 3, 55.6. But other than that, they got 15 off the bench from George Hill, 11 from Brook Lopez, 4 and 6 from Wesley Matthews and DiVincenzo. Not a ton of production. Ilyasova came off the bench and did his thing. Pat Connaughton the same. Kyle Korver didn't play well. I mean, this is the Bucks' MO, really. I mean, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys off the bench that all scored, and only 2 guys that didn't play any minutes at all. On the other side of the ball, all 5 of the 76ers starters in double figures, including a 6th man who played 25 minutes. Kormaz had 16 points off the bench. He played really well, and that production from him isn't going to be consistent. On the they really didn't get any bench production other than 16 from Kormaz. James Ennis had 2, Mike Scott had 3, Trey Burke had 3. They only played 4 guys off the bench and really didn't get a ton of production except for 1 player. So that kind of, I mean, they're not going to get performances like that from Josh Richardson's. Josh Richardson averages well under 18 this season, I would have to assume. And he had 18, shot 35% from the field, 36.4% from 3. Ben Simmons played well, 15 points, shot 7 of 10 from the field, 14 assists and 7 rebounds. Joel Embiid was great, 31 points, 52% from the field, 50% from 3, 11 rebounds. Al Horford, he just didn't really have to do as much. And Al Horford is really great about kind of taking the game in stride. But as a team, just looking at the stats, Tobias Harris had 22 points, 50% from 3, 71.4% from 3, or 50% from the field, 5 of 7, 71.4% from 3. Tobias Harris played really well, made some really difficult shots, and in a lot of ways looks like he just gets to a spot and makes a shot look like it's really not that difficult. He doesn't really mess around like fading away too much. Tobias Harris is an interesting guy. He looks like he could be, if he was just more consistent, like he looks like he could be a superstar, and then he'll just do, I don't know. He's one of these, Tobias Harris, I think Porzingis has fallen into that category. They're kind of like Walmart superstars. I used to think of Paul George like that, and still a little bit do until he wins a championship, basically, or until he plays well in the playoffs. If he just wins a couple playoff series, which he's going to this year, I mean, he's got Kawhi Leonard. He's gonna be made to look a lot better maybe than as an individual. I mean, I hate to not, because I shit on Kyrie Irving for thinking that he can do it on his own. So I hate to shit on Paul George and say that, like, he can't do it on his own. He needs Kawhi Leonard's help, because I'm the same guy that defends LeBron. Everybody needs help. But Paul George is going to win some playoff games this year. I don't know, if he plays like really well in those games and like makes some big shots and plays a significant role in, if there's a game 6 in the Western Conference semifinals where he has 46 and they win the series because of how well he played, stuff like that. It doesn't have to be that exact scenario, but situations like that will classify Paul George for me as a legit superstar. Until that happens, I still have him in the same category as Tobias Harris and now Porzingis. They're guys that they could be these really great superstars if they could step up in big moments and if they could be more consistent. Tobias Harris played well last night, but he'll have a bunch of games this season where he's pretty much non-existent. And he's going to need to be really great if the 76ers are going to be able to do this to the Bucks in the playoffs. I mean, they couldn't do it last year in the playoffs against the Bucks. I don't remember what that series finished out as. So I didn't watch the Boston-Toronto game at all. I didn't watch the Warriors beat the Houston Rockets. I would love to have watched that, and I could have held off in doing this podcast like a couple hours and watched this game so that I could make fun of James Harden and Russell Westbrook. They don't need it. It's Christmas Day. Merry Christmas to James Harden and Russell Westbrook. They don't give a fuck, but I'm going to give them a day off from criticism. 30 points for Westbrook, 24 for Harden. Harden shot 50% from the field. Here it comes. I can feel it coming. Russell Westbrook shot 34.4% from the field. 0 of 8 from 3. James Harden shot well from 3. 6 of 10 from the 3-point line. 6 rebounds, 11 assists for Harden. 12 rebounds, 5 assists for Russell Westbrook. I cannot say that fucking name. Ever since I saw that Vine or whatever the hell that was, that's just how like it comes out now, pretty much. But then on the other side of the ball, for the Golden State Warriors, Draymond Green had 20 points, all 5 of their starters in double figures. 18 for Glenn Robinson III. Willie Cauley-Stein had 10. Damian Lee had 22, leading. Did he lead all? Well, no, he didn't lead. Westbrook and Harden scored more. But Damian Lee leads the Warriors. D'Angelo Russell had 20. They got some pretty good bench production. Alec Burks had 8 off the bench. Jacob Evans, 8. Kai Bowman, 4. Marquise Chris had 6. Amari Spellman only played 2 minutes, and they still won. Jordan Poole, who was playing, Jordan Poole was starting there for a little while. I think that was when Draymond was out. But wait, who I'm thinking of Damian Lee, who's now I think on the Hawks. Who is this? Oh, Damian Lee is their little guard. Oh wow. I was thinking of Damian Jones, who is now on the Hawks, I believe. I wish I would have watched that game now. We got home from Beatty's mom's house after the Bucks and 76ers game, and I didn't feel like I wanted to play GTA more than I wanted to watch basketball. We've been playing Grand Theft Auto 5 quite a bit, and that game is so fucking amazing to me. I like just wander around sometimes and like walk through the backyards of these houses that are in the hills and like just walk through houses that are all over this whole city, this like made up city that's very, very much modeled after Los Angeles, California. But I think that's pretty well known, right? I mean, I think people, I don't know this to be like, but I assume people, I've never been to LA and I can tell that it's modeled after LA. I assume that's like a well-known thing, but I really have no idea. But it's fun to just like walk through houses, and you can't walk into the houses, but like I walk around houses, and I'm really into like designing houses right now. It's not, well, it's something I've been into for a really long time, but I've gotten like really deep into it and like have actually began to design houses. I've talked about that on the podcast a little bit, at least put together like floor plans and things like that for houses. But it's fascinating to me to just wander around this world, and like the attention to detail that these people put into it is really fascinating. I can't imagine how much time it would take to create a game like Grand Theft Auto. So many fucking people doing so much tedious work to make all this, like, just the small nuanced things that I notice in that game are really fascinating. But we've been having a lot of fun playing Grand Theft Auto together and like switching back and forth. She plays a mission, I play a mission. Dude, I have the fucking coolest girlfriend. I, for the most part, since I've been dating, have been trying to find a girl that would be awesome as fuck and want to watch basketball with me. And I found them in the past, and now I've really, really found a great one that like legitimately loves basketball pretty much as I do for the most part. And we both love basketball so much, and well, I don't know. What I'm trying to say is that I found a great girl that'll love watching basketball with me and does frequently, and sometimes requests that we watch basketball together and instead of doing anything else. And I've never missed, I don't know when the last time I didn't watch all 5 NBA Christmas Day games, but I like didn't even care. I just wanted to play Grand Theft Auto more. I don't know. So then the Lakers and the Clippers, man, I don't know what to say about this game. I wanted to go back and watch like the fourth quarter. I don't know what happened. I feel like I like zoned out or something in the fourth quarter for a little bit. I know what happened. I got a little distracted, but they were up by like 5 or 6, and then I was watching it, but I didn't like register that they were. And then I like looked at the score, and they were losing by 4 with like a minute and a half left. I was like, wait a minute, what happened? And then they lost. And then I wake up in the morning and potentially I knew when he got kneed in the groin, I was like, that's that same fucking groin that he hurt himself last year on Christmas. And then he got up and he played that immediate next possession. And I was like, okay, maybe it's all right. And then I wake up this morning and LeBron re-aggravated the groin that he hurt last Christmas. Oh boy. And it crossed my head. I was like, fuck. LeBron's not going to win another championship. This is it. This is the beginning of the end. He got hurt last year on Christmas. This is what ends people's careers. Nagging, lingering injuries that get re-aggravated and re-aggravated. And you miss time. You miss a month, and then you miss it a couple months, and then you miss another one, and then you miss several, and it slowly fades away. I don't know. It's fuck. LeBron, I mean, he didn't play very well at all last night. The numbers kind of came, especially the points sort of came towards the end of the game. He was certainly a big reason as to why they were winning or leading a majority of the game, even though, he didn't score the ball very well for the first like 2.5 quarters. He ended with 23 points on 37.5% shooting from the field. It was 2 of 12. Just horrible from 3, 16.7% from 3, 10 assists, 9 rebounds. I think it was before halftime. He had 7 rebounds and 7 assists, so really didn't do a whole lot. I mean, he just basically traded his rebounding and scoring for points in the second half. Anthony Davis had 24, 47.1% from the field, 1 of 6 from 3. Danny Green started off hot. He made 2 threes at the beginning, and then that was it. He scored 6 points. Avery Bradley only had 2 points. Kyle Kuzma made up for a lot. I mean, now that I'm looking at the score, the box score, the Lakers should have lost by more than this. They really didn't get a lot from, I mean, Danny Green and Avery Bradley have to play better than that. Kyle Kuzma made up for their lack of performance, but the Lakers have to be able to put this whole thing together. When Kyle Kuzma's not playing very well, like he's missed some time. He's had injuries that have made his production go down quite a bit. A lot of that also has to do with his role this year. I still am really hoping that Kyle Kuzma can morph into this third guy for the Lakers. And he looked like it last night. I mean, he led scoring off the bench with 25. He went on a little spurt there, and I think was at the beginning. It was in the first quarter, towards the end of the first quarter, where he had like 9 points or like 15 points in like 6 minutes, I think it was, right before, and then hit a shot right before the buzzer at the end of the first. He looked really great last night. If he can do that, if Kyle Kuzma, he didn't even have to get 25. If Kyle Kuzma can average 20, Avery Bradley 10, Danny Green 12, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope had 13. That's fine. Caruso had 2 off the bench. Rondo 7. Caruso should be a little more productive than that. Rondo's 7 is fine. He had 5 assists, or 6 assists. No, that's 5. That's a 5. 4 turnovers, 3 rebounds. Dwight Howard didn't play very well. 2 points on 1 of 1 shooting. And he made wait, how does that work? 2 points. He made a field goal. Oh, and then was 0 of 1. He missed a free throw. 9 rebounds for Howard. 1 block. Quinn Cook didn't play. Troy Daniels and Jared Dudley didn't play. And then on the other side of the ball, Kawhi Leonard was really great. Again, Kawhi is really great at these shots that I was talking about before that Moutier was taking for the Jazz. Kawhi Leonard is so great at pull-up jump shots and fadeaway jump shots from like 5 to 6 feet, 7, 12 feet, in that range. The like shorter mid-range jump shots. He had 35 points on 11 of 19, 57.9% from the field, was very efficient. 5 of 7 from 3, 71.4%. I mean, he was just clearly better in every objective way. Like, he was just better than LeBron last night. 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 turnovers, 1 steal, no blocks. They didn't really even get tons of production. I mean, Montrezl Harrell did his thing off the bench. He had 18. Lou Williams only had 6. Shamet had 7. Mo Harkless only 2 off the bench. Paul George only had 17. Zubats had 11. That's perfect for him. Patrick Patterson only had 4, but that's not really his scoring. That's not why he's starting. Yeah, I don't know. This was an interesting game. I don't know what happened in the fourth quarter. Like, there was like a 4 to 5 minute period from like 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter to like 2-ish, like 2 or 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. 3 minutes to a minute or so left in the fourth quarter, where I was looking at the TV screen, but I was not watching the game. And I don't know what the fuck happened during that time period. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I loved the way that Kawhi Leonard handled the post-game interview. I thought that was great. I think those things are so stupid in so many ways, but I loved the way he answered the last question. He's like, it means nothing. When I think it was Lisa Salters asked him, what does this mean for the LA rivalry and all that bullshit? And he's like, it means nothing. It's not like we win a trophy for being the best team in LA, or there's no championship of LA. It means nothing. We're working towards the ultimate goal. And then he just looked back at her. Kawhi, I really like Kawhi. I want to see, I want to see LeBron beat Kawhi, but I really don't think of it that much as a rivalry. The Clippers have won both games this season. For it to be a rivalry, the Lakers are going to have to win a game, or so. They're going to have to win some games in this rivalry for it to be a rivalry. LeBron James has to perform better. I mean, he got injured in the first quarter, re-aggravated an injury. I guess you could use that as an excuse, but I'm not going to do it. I'm sure, I don't know if he leaked it if he said it or mentioned it, that he re-aggravated it in the post-game press conference or whatever, or I don't know if it was just the Lakers training staff has reevaluated things this morning and put that information out. Obviously there's a magnifying glass over LeBron James wherever he goes. So the news trickles out in a lot of different ways. But I'm not going to use that as an excuse. LeBron, he's got to be better. And if he's not on the floor because he's injured, I don't know. The best what is it? The best asset is availability or something like that. I don't know how it goes. You got to be a great player, you got to be on the floor. And he was on the floor. He played pretty damn well by pedestrian standards, but by LeBron standards, by championship standards, it's got to be better. Kawhi Leonard looked really, really great last night. And I didn't even really realize he had 35 points. He just makes shots. He doesn't complain about there were 2 calls last night that I noticed where Kawhi Leonard, I think one of them was a foul and he knew it, but the other one was definitely not a foul. Like it was, both of them were contesting shots at the rim, and one of them wasn't a foul, and it was early on, and you could tell that he registered that like they just made a mistake. I didn't foul him, and then he just it happened right by the block. Obviously, it was right at the rim, and he like landed and just was right in position to wait while they shot free throws, and then, like where you stand while people shoot free throws. And he just stood there and put his hands on his knees and didn't complain. He very easily could have. It was a pretty bad missed call. Like he really didn't really touch him very much at all. And then there was one, I don't know when it was, but it was later on in the game, like at a more critical point in the game when it was a lot closer towards the end of the game. And I think you realized that he fouled him, and it's fascinating how many, like, especially with replay the way that it is now, and there's so many goddamn cameras that are all moving at a really, really high frame rate so they can slow this shit down really, really slow, and it's really crisp, and you can see that it's a foul. Like, that's a foul. You had to have felt your hand obliterate his arm. And these guys just will argue still. I don't get it. It's really frustrating, and Kawhi Leonard didn't do that at all. So praise to Kawhi Leonard, really. I mean, he's playing the game the right fucking way. He's making shots. He's going about his business. And he's not. I don't think I've ever seen Kawhi Leonard complain about a call. I've never really paid attention to it. It's something that I noticed last night a couple of different times. But then on the other side, I mean, this is something LeBron's known for, is complaining about calls. And a lot of it is gamesmanship. A lot of it is LeBron knowing that he's got a lot of power over these refs in a lot of ways. He's fucking rich as hell. He's the face of the NBA. He's what made, for the last 15 years, he's what has made the NBA in a lot of ways what it is today. It's certainly not just LeBron. Obviously, there's a lot of people that have paved the NBA to be what it is today, but LeBron's been the face of the NBA for 15 years, and he knows that he can complain about a call on one end, get in the ref's head, and get a couple calls on the other end, or down the road in the game. And so part of it is gamesmanship. That part of it I do understand, but I don't know. Sometimes it's a little overboard, even for a LeBron fan. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm not sure that like how I want to touch on the replay thing towards the end. The replay with the way that it is now is interesting because I don't remember who it was that was doing the play-by-play for the game. I think it was Mike Breen. So Patrick Beverley contests LeBron's 3-point shot that he more than likely wouldn't have made down 3 with like 2-point-some seconds left. It was just a pretty poor possession by LeBron. He pretty much held the ball the entire possession down 3. And was going to take a really heavily contested, even if Patrick Beverley didn't hit the ball, it was going to be a highly contested, off balance, pretty poor shot. Now LeBron's capable of making it, but I would have just liked to see a regular offensive possession. And if that meant LeBron driving and kicking and finding an open Danny Green, who didn't play well, but is certainly capable of hitting a big shot in a big moment, even when he's not in rhythm and hasn't been making a bunch of shots that game. I just would have liked to see a much better offensive possession, but Patrick Beverley contests the shot, tips the ball or gets a piece of the ball, and Mike Breen asked Steve Javie when they went to the replay center if because it was Patrick Beverley's action that made the ball hit LeBron and go out, does that mean it's still Lakers ball? And he's got it. Like, there's something to be said about that. It's something that I've thought about a lot since this whole inception of the whole replay center thing. And I mean, the NBA has been doing replays and going to replays for a long time. Not as long as football, but if you're going out of bounds and you've got the ball and you're in the air and you throw it at someone else and then it goes out of bounds, that's considered a smart, savvy play. You tap the ball at somebody else, or you're getting pushed out of bounds, or you're falling out of bounds, or whatever the case may be, and you throw it off somebody else and then it goes out of bounds. That's considered savvy, and that to me makes sense. You're making a play. That makes sense, I guess is what I'm saying. But then when Patrick Beverley hits the ball, and there's really no way to describe this. Patrick Beverley hits the ball with his hand, and as the ball is coming out of LeBron's hand, because Patrick Beverley hit it out of his hand, it scrapes his fingers as it leaves. I don't think that's the same. To me, that's not the same as the ball's bouncing out of bounds and it's right by somebody's knee on the other team, and you tap the ball at their knee, and then it hits their knee and bounces out of bounds. Again, smart and savvy. But if it's a tipped action like that, where two players' hands are going for the ball, and I hit the ball, and then their fingers swing to try to hit the ball, but I've already hit it, so then it just glazes off their hands or grazes off their hands as it goes out of bounds. That was my action that made the ball go out of bounds. It just kind of because the cameras are so great. Like I said, they're all in super slow motion. We're seeing things. We're able to call things a way that they've never been called before. And I'm all for improving the game. I'm not one of these guys that looks back at the 90s and says that basketball was better then, and that is not me. If you've ever listened to this podcast, you would know. I am what they call a millennial. In some ways, I don't think I'm like your standard, very, very stereotypical millennial, but I think LeBron James is the greatest player to ever walk the face of the earth. He's the greatest basketball player, bar none. I don't even think it's that close. And that's probably why I'm defending this thing now, is because it happened to LeBron. But, I see it happen a lot in the NBA. The game is that call without replay. The refs would have just been like, no, it was Patrick Beverley's action that made the ball go out of bounds. Even if you could see this happen, this is something that happens all the time. A ref will not call a foul on something like that. Like Patrick Beverley didn't foul him. I'm giving you a completely different scenario. So let's say that you're inbounding the ball from the sidelines. I saw this scenario happen a couple games ago. I think it was in the Jazz Heat game, actually. You're inbounding the ball from the side to your point guard or whatever in the backcourt, who's going to bring it up and set up the offense. And the defender is pressuring full court. You make the inbounds pass. He kind of reaches over with his hand in denial defense, like your typical denial defense with a hand out. Kind of reaches over the point guard or whoever is receiving the ball, and maybe fouls him and forces that player to not be able to catch the ball well. He swings at the ball with his hand but doesn't hit it, and it goes off of the offensive player's hand. But the ref gives the ball to the offense still. Are you with me? So instead of calling a foul on the play, because the ball clearly went out on the offense, but he didn't call the foul, so therefore he's going to just award the possession instead of calling the foul. This is something that happens all the time, even in the age of replay now. That's something that still happens pretty frequently. They'll just, you could have the ball, but it's a situation where they're basically saying, okay, we're going to just not give you a foul, and they're going to keep the ball. Or I could give you a foul and they'll still keep the ball. So really it's a win for the defense in a lot of ways. You're just not having the foul called. And Patrick Beverley didn't foul LeBron, but if that was out on LeBron, I don't know. I don't think I don't think the outcome would have changed. I think that they still only have what is it, 2.5 seconds left. They certainly could have probably got a really great play out of bounds, but they're still down 3. Like, I don't think that call necessarily changes the game. It certainly could have. They certainly could have made a really great shot, but that still only ties it unless they get fouled on a 3-point play, which is certainly possible again. But I don't know that they win the game in overtime. LeBron James was injured. Anthony Davis looked exhausted. And Anthony Davis has been battling some injuries as well. Just a little aggravated stuff. He rolled an ankle, missed a game a couple games ago. He gets poked in the eye all the time. He's been battling the last couple of weeks. There's been a number of different occasions where he's like holding at his ribs. But Anthony Davis looked exhausted last night. I still don't think the Lakers even win that game in overtime. But that's just a really fascinating part of this whole replay thing to me. And then the last game last night, moving forward with the Christmas Day slate, I didn't watch it. The Pelicans and the Nuggets. The Nuggets were on a 7-game win streak. Brandon Ingram recorded a Christmas Day record, 7 3-pointers in the game. The Pelicans won 112-100. Brandon Ingram finished with 31 points on 61.1% shooting from the field, 7 of 9 from 3, 77.8. So a really great game for Brandon Ingram. 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 2 turnovers. Derek Favors had 8. J.J. Redick 15. Drew Holiday 20. Lonzo Ball 10. That's a big win for them. I mean, Pelicans haven't been playing very well. I don't know what was up with the Nuggets. Paul Millsap had no points in 16 minutes. Not sure if he got hurt. He normally would play more minutes than that. Gary Harris had 15. Jokic had 23. Joker played well. 8 of 20, 40% from the field is fine. It's not the greatest, but for his, I don't know what Jokic shoots from the field, but I would assume it probably is around 40%. 2 of 5 from 3, 40% from 3, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 turnovers. Jamal Murray only had 8. Jeremy Grant had 17 off the bench. Malik Beasley 13 off the bench. They're deep. The Denver is really deep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I guess Torrey Craig didn't play. They would normally play like 6 guys off the bench, but played 5 last night. It's been an added bonus for them to get Michael Porter Jr. Finally out on the court. He hasn't been great, but he's been the back injuries that he's had. Those are tough, man. Back injuries are difficult because it just doesn't feel like something that should be holding you out. But those things are lingering. I mean, if you can't bend over very well, it's hard to run. I don't know exactly what his back injury was, but I don't have to tell you about back injuries. Everybody knows that back injuries suck. For the most part, I think most people have pretty much dealt with a back injury or two just from life, Yeah, I think that about wraps up the I Can Do Anything podcast today, folks. I don't believe there's any games today. I think that there's always the day off after Christmas Day. Oh, maybe not. There's 6 games tonight. Wizards, Pistons, Knicks, Nets, Grizzlies, Thunder, Spurs, Mavs, T-Wolves, Kings, and Trailblazers, Blazers. Ooh, I'm watching that one. That's at 10:30. I'll probably watch that one on Friday, tomorrow during the day. And maybe I'll get back at you. Yeah, I'll get back at you. This podcast has been brought to you by Landscaped. Are there any homeowners out there? If you own a home, in most cases, you know that you're going to have some yard work. Landscaped is here to help. Landscape takes pride in having the most extensive catalog of outdoor tools, appliances, furniture, lighting, materials, decor, power supplies, pool and spa, gardening, recreation, water and irrigation, accessories, and more. Visit our stores across the continental United States of America to receive help from our trained landscape architects, take classes, and listen to seminars on a wide variety of topics and focus areas, including Gardening 101, Homeowners Construction Best Practices, Insect and Pest Control and Behavior, Creative Materials Concepts, Pool and Spa Maintenance, Fencing and Perimeter Design, Owning your own space, and many more. Or visit us online at landscape.com/anything to receive $10 off your first order of $50 or more and $50 off any order of $300 or more. That's landscape.com/anything, a special savings for listeners of the I Can Do Anything podcast. Landscaped, everybody. I'm trying to mount some TVs, and I need to fucking, what are those things called? I need a stud finder. And maybe I'll go on Landscape to pick up a stud finder. They gotta have stud finders on landscape.com. All right, folks. Thanks for listening. Have a great fucking whatever.